I am Suhaimi Yusuf, and you're listening to Do Not Click. Transform now.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Check 1 2. You're listening to.
You're listening to Do Not Click.
Can you hear my voice? Hello. Mr. Swaimi, how are you?
Hello. Yes. Before time began, there was
Yes.
the cube. This
Wow.
one is not Optimus Prime. This is Octopus Prime.
Octopus Prime.
Yep. A little bit more bliss sotong.
What other impressions can you do? I know you can do Megatron and some Disney characters.
Did you
as
grow
well.
up with Bunny?
Yeah.
Hey, it's time now to say goodbye.
Bugs Bunny.
I love you. No, this is Barney, the
Oh,
purple
Barney, the
dinosaur.
purple dinosaur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a technique to do impressions?
Basically, that's what I do for my living. I don't know. It's just something that you develop as you go along, in your whole entire career. Like yourself, you rather than, sit and do some videos and all that, you want to experiment with things around you, right?
Yeah.
So you meddle around with the equipment, so I meddle around with my throat.
Oh, you made it out with your throat.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know some of the famous impressions in the world like Jay Farrow and all that?
hmm
Do you watch their stuff?
Sometimes by accidents. Yeah. Because you see, the thing is, because you're doing it out of love, out of experimenting with your voice and all that. So I try as much as possible to be as organic as I could.
Mm.
Because, sometimes when you watch too much of this, the tendency is those kind of influences will just come into you and then you end up become somebody else.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So just a little nice dosage of stuff that you watch, and then after that, you're on your own. We have to make a stand now. Don't we be left to go to the chopper? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
That's incredible.
Now, yeah. So just have fun with your voice, have fun with life, and then, yeah.
Great quote right there. Just have
Right.
fun with your voice.
Yeah, and it's like there's always moments where you actually watch during my time when I watch movie during my time. It's like about a few hundred years ago. So when you watch a movie, there's always this guy who comes out on screen, his voice, and it's always the same thing that he said all the time, and he's being paid so well for doing that. This summer,
Oh, yeah.
when the world
trailer
is a
guy.
superhero. Yeah, so I was like, how I wish I could live like him. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where were you from just now? You were from meetings?
With the technology today, because when you drive, you're actually basically talking to like 7, 8 people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
when
why.
you drive?
Yeah, when you're driving, even when you're in the toilet.
Oh, yeah, on the phone. You're talking
Yeah,
about the phone.
because
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, I just wish that the phone was not invented, the
Conference.
smartphone. Yeah, so because back in those days when I used to remember my father, so when he's a little bit tired and he just like, put aside things, and then when people call him up and say, say, I'm not around.
Yeah,
You can just like ignore
Yeah.
and do your own things.
exactly.
But today, no.
Yeah.
While you're doing your stuff in the toilet, they expect you to actually
Yeah.
respond and say, "Hey, did you receive my message? Hey, did you do this? Why are you not answering me?" Hey,
got a
why-"
blue tick. If you
Yeah.
if you blue tick
So,
someone,
It's amazing. It's amazing. Physically, I was driving. Physically, I was talking to somebody else. Physically, I'm speaking to you.
wow, multitasker.
But virtually, there are like 10, 20 people talking to you, expecting you to do stuff like that. So I'm talking to like Irene Ang right here as we speak. And then she goes like, "Hey, that one can change." And this one.
Bang, you try, so we don't have to cut to 4 minutes. I think
So we're doing editing for stuff like that. So we don't have to
Oh.
cut this. See, I'm talking to you and she's speaking to me.
Your fly mama, Irene Ang. So
Yeah.
other people would have already cancelled. Like, so I really appreciate you really taking your time just to come all the way just to see me
It's
and
okay. I need to change my life.
change
I
your
just
life.
need something just like, have a glitch in the matrix.
Oh yeah, just take you out of the zone. for a
Yeah.
while. Wow.
It's nice to see your workplace here.
Oh, thank you so much.
So you're alone now? All the way alone here?
I mean, I have to wait for you lah, but,
But how many people actually in this department?
my department there's about 6-7 people.
6, 7 people?
Yeah.
Where have they gone to?
They go home already lah.
Oh, so what's your working hours is like basically
9
what,
to
after 5?
5:30. Yeah, office hour. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you so much for just keeping to the schedule. I think a lot of my listeners really appreciate. And the moment I publicized that you were doing the podcast, the response was incredible.
Oh, that's so touched.
You-
so touched.
you have a lot of-
So don't kiss my hand. Don't kiss my hand. Just kiss my feet. Okay.
People don't know. They can't see what we are doing.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
yeah, the one of the more popular guys to really penetrate the Channel 5 market. Other than that, I think Aaron Aziz.
Mhm.
Other than Aaron Aziz and you, I don't think I know any other Malay people who are really famous among Surya and Channel 5 around both channels.
There are many now. I think probably in Tanglin, if you can't remember the names, you probably remember the faces, So there are many opportunities. This is the unique part about Singapore because Singapore is quite a diverse society and community, and there's always this opportunity. And this almost non-existent in many parts of the region. If you can travel around and take a look, there are some collaborations, but it's not the kind of collaboration that we have in Singapore. It's not something to be patriotic that when I say this kind of thing, but it's just naturally that we're in this small, tiny little spot that we tend to mix around, and we have nobody else. We got each other to live. So therefore, it's like we go to school, we speak English most of the time, and then that gives you the comfort zone to actually reconnect. So when you have faces like Malay actors or actresses inside or some programs which is English or even Chinese for that matter, it's only a natural progression for a society to accept this as we go along, because this is part and parcel of the realism of when you do TV program. So I think the initial part, when people begin to have that idea to include some of the non-Chinese members of the society in some Chinese production and all that, so that was the beginning part when I think Aaron, Aziz, and me coming in, and that also coincide the time when they were into the trend of sitcom. So we
When
need
it was
some,
still popular lah.
yeah. So we had to have some kind of a connection with the audience. So they came out with some of the programs. So you need some local
Flavor,
programs,
yeah.
local heroes. So coincidentally, you got Aaron Aziz on the other side, becoming the Heartlander policeman.
Sergeant Della.
Yeah, so you got the Hung and the Chang on both sides of the court. Yeah, but then again, sometimes you can't satisfy everybody, right? And they say, why all Malay all have to be a policeman?
yeah,
I
that's
said, why
true.
cannot? I said, so it's a good place to start anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. You're right. You didn't start out as a actor. You started out as a DJ, right?
Which year were you born? Which
Yeah,
year?
1990.
1990.
That's the exact year you started doing DJ.
No.
Yeah. When I was born, you
Yeah.
were starting out your DJ journey.
Yeah. So when people grow up, I think probably when I did some radio works and then they go like, he's doing radio thing now.
Warna.
Part of that history nobody remember. Like my son, he's born in 1995. So no one, after 10 years when you develop this consciousness, right?
Yeah,
In
exactly.
2005, most people who are of that age won't realize that I actually started from radio when I was 16 years old.
16 years old, you started radio.
Yeah, so when I was in student, I actually had the opportunity of being invited there. I don't know what the heck I was doing there. They need some kind of like a students to represent, a students program for students,
The market,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, so went there and then fell in love with the whole thing. And then immediately, right after all my studies, I said, I'm going to marry this job. So I started with radio. Yeah. And that was because I was exposed at a very young age. So from that moment, when I was still in school,
Montfort side, is it?
right after that, so when I went
Okay.
to Tampines, or we call it TPJC, Traffic Police Junior College.
Traffic Police College.
So that was almost part-time, full-time. So every weekend I will be like at the radio station and then doing this program. So back then we didn't have this internship thing. So
Yeah.
that was the kind of internship that I had. So that was
Okay.
quite a nice
You created.
5 to 6 years kind of thing.
Did you invent internship?
I don't know. I didn't. Probably if I had, I would have introduced the word U-turn. U-turnship. Yeah. So that was the other world that I saw. That was the only world that I saw. And I was like very curious about the equipment, the microphone, and stuff like that. And I was playing around exactly what we're doing right now. We put on the headphone and then we try, hey, this is how I sound like. Hey, this is how powerful. So you begin to enjoy. And the fact that I grew up with that, so made me even more passionate about it. So yeah, so I said radio was my basically first love, and I fell in love with it, and I said I don't want to do other things. Yeah, so I went in.
Before you got into DJ and before your whole journey got mapped out,
It wasn't mapped out. Actually, it was like random.
random.
Nobody knows what it's going to do in
Yeah.
the future at that age,
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
When you ask someone, when you're like 7, 8, 9 years old, so when you grow up, I want to be Superman.
Yeah.
I want to be Hulk.
Hey,
I
you're
have no
wearing a
idea.
Superman shirt
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
right. This is just my kids.
Super slimy.
My fantasy when I was a kid. But when you reach a certain teenage year, everybody goes through the same thing. At the age of 15, 16, when you're like forming your mind, looking and experimenting things, we're developing other stuff. And then they say, okay, why do you study this? Why do you do this? I have no idea. No one has no idea. Nobody know exactly what they want to do at the age of 18.
That's
Right?
true.
We are all blur sotong. Yeah, so but I didn't know that sotong is actually a smart animal anyway.
So who
Yeah.
was the Superman during your time? Is it Dean Cain?
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, but he
Okay.
fell off the horse then after that.
Oh, yeah. He
said,
got paralyzed.
better not wear the Superman suit.
Yeah, after him, there were so many other Supermans. Like up
Yeah.
till today, who's your favorite Superman so far?
I don't know, I just remember Christopher Reeve.
It was Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, and
Okay.
because he also fell off from the horse.
Mm.
Yeah, that's quite leave an impact to me. It's not super after all.
He's human after
Yeah.
all. Do you have a Superman impression? I don't think there's not really an iconic
No,
voice
Superman,
for
there's
Superman.
no. You just have to make yourself more noticeable if you want to be Superman in the public.
If you take off your glasses, you might be
No,
lose a
you
Clark
just,
Kent.
you just have to have that hook, the front part of your fringe of your hair, so you have to that hook. Then you look like Superman, and then you have to wear your underwear on the outside.
Underwear on the outside. That's right.
a
And the,
very
and the red cape.
distinct character of Superman. Yeah, and he wears blue, and he
Yeah.
flies through the sky, so you can't see him. Basically, you just see his. Hey, look, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's underwear.
But what do you really thought that you wanted to be when you were younger? Did your mom tell you become a doctor, be a lawyer?
No, I think at that time nobody cares because basically you're on your own, you know. It's good in a way that they allow you to be whatever you want.
Mhm.
But the problem is I have no idea what I want to be. Right? So, I don't know. The thing that stuck into my mind until now, only inspiration that I had when I was in primary one and I watched, primary one or primary two, I was fascinated with Luke Skywalker, the lightsaber thing.
Mm.
Yeah, because I was staying in Kampong. I was born in a Kampong anyway. So when I went back, I always take a look at the fluorescent lamp. We always have this fluorescent lamp and say, how can people fight with this fluorescent lamp?
Lightsaber.
That has been quite a fascination, a fantasy world for me. And I always wanted to be Luke Skywalker.
Wow.
So when I came up with comedy stuff and all that, if you go to my office, you will probably see that I'm not really a fanatic Star Wars fan. But I was impressed with the kind of thing that they introduced, and I wanted to be something like that.
yeah,
so-
groundbreaking during that time, right?
Yeah, so they do things. It's like, oh, how can you do that? You know, it's like the lightsaber. How can you control a laser to a certain level of
Length.
measurement,
Yeah.
length, and then you start fighting with us? I said, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that was the only dream that I had.
Just a question about like being enamored for Star Wars.
Uh,
Do you think kids nowadays can ever feel the same admiration? Because now the special effects are so good that nothing
almost
surprises.
reality,
Sorry?
almost real.
Well, almost real. Like even the recent Lion King. But nobody watches a movie and get enamored like how you watch Star Wars and get enamored by Star Wars.
Actually, really depends on the kind of person, or really depends on the individual. I think for me, it's not just about the movie; it's about the observation that you are curious about. So, we always have this curiosity in us. You start to pay attention to certain details, and you start to ask the question: "What is that? How did they do it?" And so, to me, it's not just about the movie. So, whether it's animation or whether things that you watch, there's always something that you wanted to know. So, we all are human beings, and we all are very curious. And curiosity actually creates some opportunity and it becomes an inspiration. And that's the beginning part of how do you observe life, right? Because movie is actually an exaggerated part of life.
That's right.
TV as well. TV is an exaggeration of life. And when we watch movies or we watch TV programs like that, what happened to us is basically we're watching ourselves. But they have to make it a little bit exaggerated to highlight those things. And then you start to ask questions. I always ask questions like, okay, so is it really true that somebody is living beyond that clouds? These are little questions that is, to me, it's not really stupid questions, but that curiosity will bring you eventually to read about things, to
Imagination.
find some things and
Yeah.
see how it works. And it pays off over a period of time. Example, apart from the lightsaber, which they have not come out with the technology yet. I was fascinated when you have a friend, because sometimes when you don't really have friends, it's very difficult to find really good companion. Sometimes friends just like friends with you because they want something from you.
Yeah.
And some friends are just there to show off a little bit here and there. So sometimes you just feel like, you just want to be alone. And how I wish I could have C-3PO or R2-D2 in me. Because robot, which I had in my office, I bought a R2-D2. I said, that's the best kind of companion you have because you can even say anything to it. And
They don't have an agenda.
yeah, there's no emotions attached. There's, it's just an interaction that happens. So can you imagine today that we're actually investing in billions and billions of dollars on robotics, and they're actually investing in this thing called the brain, the global brain, where you can actually talk to, for example, like Siri.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually, if you feel very lonely, this is what I normally would do, I would reckon, because this is my C-3PO. Hello, Siri. Oh, there's no
Siri.
no, okay.
Sorry, I couldn't find what you were searching for.
Just want to say that you're stupid.
That doesn't sound good.
Can you sing me a song? And I find it very interesting. too.
Okay, if you insist.
Go.
I could while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. And my head I'd be scratching, while my thoughts were busy hatching. If I only had a... Hey, wait a second.
That's not singing. You are stupid. Okay, so yeah, you won't probably would say something else. The fascination with this technology, because it came from the curiosity why I watched like, hey, the C-3PO and R2-D2 are just not like robots. They have human traits, human personality. Would it be possible that someday we're going to have that? Yes, we're living in that age now. If you're driving, for example, and I used to fascinate my friends with like, hey, I have my personal R2-D2 with me. Siri, read my email.
You have at least 25 emails. At 4:48 p.m., Roy Chu, PA, sent you an email about common sense for common space.
Yeah, okay. Don't read to everybody. Yeah, so this is a phone which is no longer a phone. And we're living here where it becomes your little companion and you can do anything with it. So this is artificial intelligence. So I was fascinated with artificial intelligence. So that movie sparks a lot of imagination. So I only watched the first 3 installments of Star Wars, which is Star Wars and then Empire Strikes Back and then Return of the Jedi. And that inspired me to move with things today.
I had no idea you're a Star Wars fan and you're a big pop culture lover.
Is extracting some lessons that you can learn, because if you can do it, because George Lucas is the only independent movie maker as compared to Steven Spielberg, who works for a studio. So I said, if this independent guy could actually do something and revolutionize how movies were made, I say everybody can do this. Yeah.
Who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Which one? I always have these blocks, like Han Solo is the cowboy of the Star Wars thing. Luke Skywalker is like the kid who had no idea, but I like the storyline. The farm kid who had to save the galaxy universe. What do you say? Something to that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then if I were to be part of I like to be Chewbacca. I think Chewbacca is a Malay guy. His name is Cik Baka. Yeah, and the dialogue you don't have to memorize. All right, you just like.
It's like Groot. Like Groot. That I am Groot.
Yeah, and they have one of the best villain, one of the likable villain, Darth Vader, who actually happens so to be when I read a little bit about it. The face of Darth Vader is the front truck of George Lucas.
The front truck.
Yeah. Chewbacca is his dog.
Is it?
Yeah. And Luke Skywalker is George Lucas.
Oh, it's him.
Yeah, so Luke is in Latin, so Lucas is him.
Oh,
yeah. And when he say,
okay.
I am your father, it's really about him. So he finally sold to Disney. And he wanted to spend more time with his kid.
I had no idea about
Yeah,
that.
so it's like, wow, this is a soap opera. It's not even science fiction. This is about life.
It's about life,
You see,
yeah.
when we are observant to that point, then you realize that as you grow old and you grow mature and you begin to understand a bit more. So you start with fun, remain with the same thing, and then you go deeper and deeper into it. Wow.
Exaggeration.
Okay. Is this too much for the audience?
No. No, but it's a great fun fact. I had no idea
Yeah.
Vader's mask is a truck.
Yeah, so as opposed to like other movies during my time, at that time was like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica. I had no interest for that because it's just basically people fighting aliens, shooting lasers here and there. But Star Wars is not science fiction, it's a soap opera.
Aside from the brilliant special effects,
Yeah.
but the story itself is very captivating.
And it's not something new. It's not something new because Star Wars is basically inspired from a Japanese movie. Amongst it, Seven Samurai, a black and white movie for 4 hours.
Okay,
It's just like this is definitely inspiration from Asian movie, which is Japanese movie. Yeah. So when he introduced, so like, and then all the words start to come out like a spaceship thing. That's Flash Gordon introduction.
Oh yeah, Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Millennials, the Gen X or people who are listening probably won't know who Flash Gordon is.
So the thing is, nothing is original. It's how you
It's a lot of
repackage it.
ideas.
Yeah, so
crammed
whether you
together.
live during that period of time or you live in now, it's just about reinventing. Yeah, and you got to have the time to reinvent. If you don't have time to sit down and observe things, because everything you want fast, that's the problem. It's not only happening right now, it happened during those many years back then.
So do you think that's why TV quality nowadays suffers?
No, I think it's basically because you have many options. When Netflix came out with all this quality stuff and all that, some of the top popular programs that people are not talking about, it's not because the TV program are not good. It's because now we have so many options. I would say we have so many distractions.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're not doing well for your studies, kids, listen, I'm a father too. So I say the only problem that existed during my time and during this time is, last time we used to have to go out the house and then play with our friends. And then the mother, of course, would sound off the alarm system and say, get back here. Go and bathe. Go and do your homework, right? And that's the end of the activity. But today, you have the option of having those people from somewhere around the world play your game in the middle of your room.
Without them being there. Yeah.
So today we have an option of distraction. I would say this is the weapon of mass distraction. So you got TV, you got radio, you got podcasts, you got games, you got people messaging you, 5, 7 people at one go. So the amount of distraction has grown,
Yeah.
but we thought is in an option. So because of that distraction, we are not able to focus on which one will be good for us to watch. Because when you walk into a buffet spread, you basically don't know where to start.
That's right. That's
Right?
true.
But as opposed to a lesser option, then you only have a la carte. So you can eat mee rebus, and that's the mee rebus that I love the most, something like that. But if you have mee rebus, mee siam, char kway teow, you probably say, okay, come, please enjoy your meal. I don't know where to start, right? So it's the same kind of thing because people think it is a progress, but everybody is competing to put up those options. So we are victims of circumstances.
That's true.
Yeah.
As an actor yourself, were you worried at that point in time where people say, alamak, the TV industry gonna suffer,
No,
we
to
might
me-
lose our job?
Definitely never, because at the end of the day, we have to understand the intelligence and wisdom are two different words altogether. You give your hand smartphone, because when we came out with the word smartphone, so I heard this program done by BBC. It's called Smartphone Stupid Man. So I was involved with Hizzy and all that. They say, there you go. See, the phone are getting smarter, we're getting more stupid, right? So to worry about the whole entire industry is, number one, if you really love what you're doing, nothing will threaten you because at the end of the day, you understand how things are going. So a lot of people say, well, TV is dying. It's moving to social media. The traditional media are dead. They are dead now. And now everybody got to make a stand of my brother.
Oh, your
Have to go to
accents
the
very sick.
chopper, right? So we got a social media. So this hustle and tussle and battling, it really doesn't happen because it's not something physical that we see. Then let me take like many years back, and we have to know a little history here. So by 1963, when they introduced TV, everybody said the movie industry is dead. The first one to go is the Malay movie industry, which is the P. Ramlee. I say, you're dead. Why? Because people say it's another media that comes. Can you imagine? So why P. Ramlee, the Malay best-known director legend? My question was, why didn't he produce TV programs when he was alive? Because he's so used to produce big screen, he didn't take the small screen seriously, right?
Yeah.
So when you're not into that knowledge, you're left behind. It's not the movie industry that is dead. It's the person that is not able to adapt.
Evolve or die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, okay, when TV comes around, every household will have TV. Nobody will go out and watch movie anymore. Did cinema die? No, we still watch movie today, right? It just moved and evolved into something else. So today, there are one people on the right side and then the other one on the left side say, TV is dead, TV is dead. It's not dying. It's just basically shifting or evolving into something else.
That's how Toggle was born.
This is a book which I read. I think it will help a lot of people if they actually read book, don't just read Facebook, because that's where the knowledge comes from. You actually know the authorized person who wrote it. There was this book written way back in many years when the television program starts. It's called Social TV. Social TV, which means how in the world did we realize that people would actually tune in? When the first time around when they have this idea of putting up news, they were worried. They say, who will listen to people announcing news? But news became a big business until it became newspaper. And then would you ever imagine that we had a channel that only showed news?
Channel Asia.
Yeah. And we had programs that make people talk, like Oprah Winfrey, talk show.
Talk show, yeah.
This is unthinkable in the 1970s because people just want to see human go out there having fun, dance and sing song. So the impossible happened. And this is part of the evolution. So Toggle is coming to the front because it's a digital world today, but TV is taking a little step back and it's actually the classic experience. So once we know this whole entire technology, and we have to be a practitioner, because the thing is, I don't sit in an aircon room and decide on philosophy and policies. I'm the guy who's actually on the ground, and I love what I'm doing. I have to find out, evolve, The cobbler is gone, but you have Mr. Minute. It evolved into Mr. Minute. It evolved into all this new technology and stuff like that. The taxi drivers of yesterday was gone. We got Grab. And then soon all these people will be gone because we have driverless car. So instead of become a driver, why don't you just become the manager of all this automated car, right? So it evolved. It's supposed to make our life better instead of looking at it from a post or threat. I'm not defending anyone here, but it is an evolution. things evolve that we cannot stop. And we, as human beings, are dynamic enough to embrace this. Yeah. Sorry, I was supposed to be like talking. I'm giving a
This
lecture
is great.
now.
This is golden. This is golden. I love it.
It's observation of life.
Observation,
Yeah, it started from Star Wars movie. I was like, why did they do that? Why is the guy black? Why is Darth Vader black? Then I realized that, it's Dark Father. Who's Dark Father? Devil lah. Right? He's the Prince of Darkness. Okay, so yeah, we're moving on. Yeah, go ahead, please.
When you talk about evolution of technology and all that,
Yeah.
you must have lived throughout different types of mobile phone, from the big ones
Yeah.
to the Nokia to the ones that you're using right now.
I was lucky I was born in was there to actually witness a lot of things which was changing. Like the first time I watched Michael Jackson doing music video, that was the first time when music video came and suddenly MTV was born. Because we used to listen to song and then suddenly now we can watch him dance. But most of the thing right now by today's standards is all quite crap. But it was like something new, It's like, hey, you can watch music now. And when I was in radio, there were things called splicing, which definitely in any polytechnic, I don't know, poly or students studying media would come across
Know
that
the term.
splicing thing.
Yeah.
Where you actually splice the tapes. So I get to witness from splicing the quarter-inch tape, and then they actually move to a disc, and then we actually now can see sound wave. And I had a ball of a time because much of the senior producers at that time didn't know how to use that. So I could go into the studio anytime I want because I was curious enough. I was a little bit more younger than today, but the curiosity never killed me because I self-taught. Can you imagine? I get to witness way back somewhere around 1994, 95 when they first introduced email. Everybody was excited with email. So
Yeah.
email was basically, the function was basically just to, type a couple of things and then you just send. Everybody got excited about it. That we didn't realize that it has evolved into something else. And then website, and we were sent for courses to learn HTML. I say, what the heck is that? To do a website, you have to like all these boxes, all these brackets, and then stuff like that. I don't speak like that, So it is the transition of things. I was born in 1969. I was born in a kampong to secondary 3. Then I started to move to the HDB flat. So part of my life, I get to witness my birth certificate states clearly it's 58C Jalan Kampong Tengah.
Literally a wooden building.
I was born in a room. I was one of the last of the Mohicans who was born in a room.
Oh wait, before we get to that, you were 7 out of 9 kids.
Yeah.
So you literally have 9 siblings.
Yeah, so I'm number 7, the forgotten tribe.
Parents don't make kids like
Yeah.
like parents back then.
Yeah, so what a waste, right? What a waste. I mean, it was a good, it was a good idea.
Why do you stop at 3? You should.
Me? No, I think probably has something to do with the things that we evolve. We're trying to make things convenient for ourselves,
That's
but
true.
eventually we become more inconvenient. Like now, yes, we have luxury, we have good transportation, but it comes with a price. So the cost of living has something to
yeah.
do or impacted your social life. So to have more kids is good. For that matter, well, as a Muslim, I can even have more than my wife. But then again,
Don't let
you're
your wife
probably
hear
like,
this.
no, it's okay. But she's quite supportive of it. No. I mean, but you see, the fact that we have to calculate this stuff. So that puts us into a certain thinking position, right? Back then in the kampong, where you see people with big family, and that's not a worry at all. But when the philosophy or the policy was introduced, people can't get out because they tasted blood. Oh, having little kids, having a little bit more money and doing other things. So it becomes like a trend. And that's why we are number 197 out of 200 countries surveyed for fertility rate. We're the most infertile country in the world. Our declining population is really a huge problem. And now you ask people to get married, you give them baby bonus, also they don't want to make baby. Why? Because we are focusing our attention on something else. Because we're using that materialistic point of view as a gauge. Today, when you're rich, you can even become president.
That's true.
Even though you're screw up.
You don't even need a political background
No.
like Donald Trump or The Rock or whoever's running for president.
So back then, I think many, many years ago, as we look into history, some of the great leaders, they are basically philosophers. So philosophy was the main currency. Today is dollars and cents. So everything is decided based on that. That's quite a sad state.
Not to go off tangent too much from just now what we were discussing, but do you think that as a parent, raising 9 kids, distributing your love amongst like 9 different children is very hard? For yourself, even having 3 kids,
Yeah.
do you think like if you were to have 9 kids, do you think you would have a hard time?
No, not really. I think it's basically based on your own organizational skill.
Multitasking skill.
Yeah, because when you have a certain type of discipline, it's mind-boggling to have people who actually run multiple companies. How did they do it?
That's true.
Right? So is it because that human nature only allow us to run just one company, one job? Take a look at some of these talented people. They have multiple jobs.
Yeah.
How did you do it? Right? So as human being, we're quite dynamic. We're able to adapt, adopt, and change. And the only thing that separates us between us and the animal world, we have the thinking capacity. We can organize, we can readapt ourselves. We can live right there in the middle of North Pole or in the middle of a desert. If we're an insect, we need a certain kind of scale to be adapting to that kind of environment, right? So this goes to show, like, the point of view here is very important because we can do it, but we just didn't want to do it. We don't want to go there, right? So raising 9 kids is no different than raising 1 kid. Even 1 kid now, they got problem because all the kiasu parents now start giving tuition when they barely could even spell apple. So the fault is not the kid. The fault is the
parenting.
Yeah, it's either the parents are a bit disorganized. They have no clue why they get married in the first place. So when you ask some people like, why did you get married? Fall in love. You think what? This one is some kind of a movie.
Soap opera.
Twilight, is it? Twilight.
Twilight.
And then, I got to get married because the wolf guy is
Destined to
very
get married.
jealous. Yeah. So we have to understand why we do things, right? So when you get married, that means you first have to be organized. And then when you have 1 kid, 2 kids, or 3 kids, or 5 kids, it doesn't really matter because before you become a manager or supervisor at your workplace, it all starts from home.
That's true.
So when you can actually manage all this and you see your father or mother being well organized, that comes into you not via DNA, by observation, right? So it's actually a good exercise.
yeah.
Part of my skill of observing, because I learned from my father. My father was quite organized in his way. And I say that's quite a happy family. When I say forgotten tribe means I have to inherit much of my toys and I can't buy my own toys until I have my own money. I could actually now play with toys.
By your own Optimus Prime.
Yeah, we need to get that back. I would say like we should have 20 kids right now. Yeah.
20 kid.
But then again, the wife also, she said, oh, sorry lah, factory closed already.
Got limit.
I cannot lah,
Stop at 5.
If you close, then I have to open another factory lah. But she disagreed lah. I'm trying, still trying.
It's crazy.
Still applying
Wow.
for that. Yeah. I'm not trying to defend and disagreeing with it. Yeah. There are some people who are successful with many kids. There are people who also fail with just 1 kid. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't get it. I don't know. You have to ask me, famous
Famous philosopher.
Yeah, no, Amos Yee.
Famous.
Yeah.
Oh
how
my
many
God.
kids? He got how many siblings, right? And
I
it
don't
became
think
a little
yeah.
bit more problematic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
just imagine he didn't even have any sibling.
That's right.
Yeah, and the parents can't even control. So where's
Correct.
the line? What happened there? Yeah, because his parents
Great
was
point.
not his
Yeah.
parents are not the human parents. His parents were the YouTube. He grew up with the social media. He got influence from all over the world at the time of age when he needed the parents most. So at that very vital formation age, when you are like 9, 10 years old, your perspective of life has to come from what you see what the parents do. But sometimes when we are a bit too busy, I'm not saying they're doing wrong things or whatever, but just my little observation because I'm a parent myself. So that's the most critical period of time. And when you go through the same thing, your mother don't have to do anything, but she's always there when you come home. But today, the father also not at home. So you pick up some language from the maid lah. Right? So we turn out to be different people.
That's true.
So these are various considerations to take note.
Great point.
You need to be a hero to your kids. And the kids need to see you as a hero. And it's all not commanded. You need to gain respect. You need to put in a lot of effort. Yeah. It's not about getting money and then after that, okay, that's it. I provide for your food and everything. No, that is taking care of kettles. Yeah. If you rear chicken, you don't have to educate the chicken. Just like provide food, provide a sleeping place and that's it. So rearing chicken and taking care of kids are 2 different worlds altogether.
Wow.
So we need to really clearly understand. But if you're not capable of doing it, why marry in the first place, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still single.
Yeah, just buy a robot.
Just my robot.
Talk to the robot.
Robot
see
wife.
how life is.
Get married to Siri.
Yeah. You didn't know that. You didn't expect this kind of serious stuff coming up from me, right?
No. Actually, I approach every guest differently. And everyone who watches TV and look at you at television, they see you as
Yeah.
the comedy guy.
Yeah.
So when you talk deep subjects like this, like they're taken aback. But wow,
Okay, most comedians I would say are very serious people because we always have these 2 sides of the coins. Right? If you talk to Gurmit Singh, he's funny on screen,
yeah,
but as a person behind the screen, he's quite a serious guy.
yeah, it's very shy.
We used to sit down and, what we discuss were basically religious issues. We talk about, sensitive stuff. Can you imagine me and Gurmit Singh talking about that most of the time? Yeah, we don't exchange jokes because jokes has become part of our
Your job.
work life. And Kumar is a very private person. And if we're talking about the comedians having the other side of a serious side, can you imagine? Actually, all the other people who are supposed to be serious actually are quite joker when you sit down with them. Yeah, you just buy them a cup of coffee. The next time round when you have the meet the MP session, then don't be formal lah. I tell you,
Meet
they're
the
quite
MP
funny,
session.
you know. They're quite funny human beings. Really, they got some of the best jokes.
That's joke.
Yeah, so it flips the other way around because we
true.
just want to get away from our job anyway.
You don't perceive the other side of the coin. Okay, talking about comedy a little bit, do you enjoy being a comedic actor or being typecasted in that role?
I think because I enjoy life, humor is basically something that breaks down a lot of barriers. You know, when situations are very tense, right? So all you need to do is just throw in a joke and then when everybody smile and everything starts to change. The difference is, I think as we in Southeast Asia, sometimes we get a bit mixed up when it comes to comedy because what is funny to a clown is not funny to a comedian. There's a big difference between clowning and doing comedy. Sometimes, me, myself included, we get mixed up. We can't tell the difference between these two categories. Clowning basically are just slapstick, physical. You don't have to think about it. But usually comedian, we need to read a lot. So it's actually a thinking. It's actually observation of the real life. And then what you do is you flip it the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to read a lot. You need to observe a lot. So when you do stand-up comedy,
That's where you get your inspiration.
yeah, so you need to observe life. So it's actually a thinking job. Just like during my school days when I was part of the rugby team, they say, why you choose rugby? You're going to smash your face. No, I say rugby is a thinking game. Where got thinking? You just smash people, do this, and then you hunt them the leg. You know, so it's a thinking game because it's not like soccer. Soccer, you kick forward. This one, you can't kick forward. You have to scrum, smell people's sweat and all that. And then you have to run and you can't pass forward. You have to pass it in a diagonal way to the back. So it requires a lot of strategy. Yeah, so when we start to look at it, then we realize that there are certain types of discipline. And I find it very interesting because not that you joke all the time, and I don't mind being in that because today, if you can see, why do people like viral videos? Majority of it are funny. I think I'm in the right job. I'm still relevant.
But do you wish that you would get more serious roles or you are fine with whatever opportunities that you're getting?
Okay, see, when people think about serious role and serious position, okay, seriously, I'm not interested to be a political leader. And two, sometimes when we try too hard to put up a front, the perfect guy who has all the luxury in life. But when you cry, sometimes you don't even know. So you take things too seriously. Yeah, there are moments that I'm serious at a personal level when I'm really, when taking care of my kids, when we talk that, we will do so joke them. But not many people know that actually also during the army days, I was an officer, so I had to be serious anyway.
You were an army officer. Wow. Cannot imagine you
How many
like
joker in Singapore is an army officer, right? Jack Neo is one of them.
Jack Neo is an army officer.
So we had to give command. We have to give orders to all subordinates and companies, So that part, of course, you don't mess around because I always tell myself, actually, it's always nice for people to know me from the humor point of view because they don't like me when I'm angry.
Do you get angry often? When was the last time you burst out into flames?
In my private moments. Private moments.
Personal moments at home.
Because at the end of the day, it's also something that you are able to control. Because when you're angry or you're pressurized with some things, of course you do. I'm a human being. I got a lot of emotions too.
Yeah.
But instead of just relying on other people's joke, can you imagine I tell myself my own joke? I tell myself, look at my mirror and tell the joke. And I begin to this is not self-motivation. This is self-humor. This is self-repair. So it's like, why do I look at life so seriously, right? So then there's a moment, okay, what's the best or what's the worst thing that could happen? So I was like, hey, this is an art. You can actually balance. So if being a father figure, and you're always known to be the serious guy, you detach communication with the kids. They won't talk to you when they have problems,
Yeah, that's true.
right? So I'm firm, but at the same time, I'm approachable. Why? Because I joke with my kids. But at the same time, they don't climb up the stairs and then jump over my head because they know you don't mess around with the boss.
There are limits,
Yeah.
boundaries.
So it's a pretty nice balance.
Okay.
And that is something which I do behind as well as in front of the camera.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's natural. This is part of, I can't be any other thing. I'm not trained to be a lawyer. Even if I take some degree in law and all that, I think I will mess the court up because it's not my forte. It's not my
But you,
tendency.
you, you know, you are the kind of person to me, right? If I was to see you arguing with someone in a studio,
Yeah.
confirm that person wrong.
Why?
Because you are like someone who shows restraint, someone with patience,
Uh-huh.
like someone who doesn't burst into anger very, very easily.
Oh,
So,
it does, because it's like I turn green. The Incredible Bulk.
Not
I'm not
really, but
Incredible
turn green.
Hulk. Yeah. But then again, it depends on the kind of argument. So to me, it's like there is also a justification for you to raise your voice if things gets a little bit off
Sour,
track.
yeah.
Yeah. And I allow myself to debate or argue on one condition. We have to use facts. We have to use the brain. Because
constructive.
if I'm
arguments.
wrong, then show me the evidence, because you just can't claim. If I tell you you're wrong, then I have to produce my proof and evidence as well.
That's true.
But if we argue just based on imagination and emotion, I say forget it. I'd rather talk to R2D2. Yeah, because it's just a freak of imagination. Yeah. So when I'm doing my work, like say I also produce programs, I do directing, when you're directing people behind the scene, I mean, people I actually direct a Chinese show also. So when I'm in my director's cap, you got to make the whole environment happy. So no matter how you have problems and all that, you got to keep yourself cool. But when you become a producer is the guy who manage, So I don't want to be a popular leader. I want to be the effective leader. So as a producer, don't mess around. Means 2 o'clock means 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock means 3 o'clock. I promise you I'm here 7:15. I'm here 7:13.
Yeah.
At 7:13 p.m. So if you can't show discipline, then you're just a complete 100% joker and your life is a joke. I joke for a living, but I don't turn my life into a joke.
That's true.
That's,
Wow.
that's the difference.
This is really very
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
You played a lot of characters like Sergeant Dola and
Yeah.
then Jojo Joget. From the very iconic The Noose, a lot of people really enjoyed that show. What kind of body of work, like other projects that you really enjoyed doing?
I think most of my work I really enjoy it because,
Living with Lydia and all that.
yeah, because when you put on a character, you actually represent somebody else in the society, and that's not really you. So
Sergeant Dola.
yeah, so you have to behave like Sergeant Dola. And why I enjoyed it? Because again, it's like a child dream came true. Actually, Sergeant Dola, when we're acting, you're supposed to, whenever when you act or you want to absorb a role, you have to have some form of reference, right? You see somebody like this, you see somebody like that. So go into the psychological part of things. But the most easiest is to actually look at other characters. Where can I refer to in a movie? Does he sound like this guy? Okay, not to promote Star Wars, but when I have to write a script or we have to think of an evil guy who's smiling, the smiling tiger, I have to think of Darth Vader. Darth Vader is the coolest evil guy, but he doesn't shout around.
Yeah.
Your lack of faith, I find it disturbing. It's a
They were
very...
Optimus Prime.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Forget it. They all sounded like... You don't know the power. So the thing is, there's always a reference. So for Sergeant Dola, when I first got the role, I was like, okay, how do I, think of the attributes of Sergeant Dola? Because the script says, okay, this guy is basically a loser, born loser. He thinks he's good, but he's actually a screw up. And he thinks he's the best cop in Singapore, but he actually messed things up. And then immediately I remember, if you can Google or you can go on YouTube, actually I enjoyed one very, I would say at that time, okay, there was the comedy show that I watched. The program is called The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo.
Very old show, right?
Very old show. And it only came out with 1 or 2 seasons only. But I was a kid then and I watched it and I kind of enjoyed it. Immediately I remember Sheriff Lobo because he thinks he's the greatest guy in town, the number 1 sheriff, and all that happens to him was screw up. So I had the ball of a time realizing my childhood dream, which I saw Sheriff Lobo, a favorite character that I watched, and I put it into the life of Sergeant Dola.
Wow.
So Sergeant Dola was Sheriff Lobo. Sulaiman character in
Living with Lydia.
was actually Prince of Bel-Air. I watched Prince of Bel-Air.
Will Smith.
Yeah, so because I say, how could this black guy be accepted widely by a white audience, right? So how could be this Malay guy in a predominantly character or by Chinese character right there smack in the middle? How could I be that? So I took inspiration from Will Smith. And I say, if he could do that, I could do it. So the whole thing that I learned was just be natural and so you are. Don't try too hard.
Wow.
Don't try too hard. Just act and then enjoy the company of people around you. And that's what Will Smith did. You know, and I kind of like that character. This is the fall. So it's like, I watch it, I love the show, and I say, how could I be like this guy? So when I had the opportunity, I said, there you go, Sulaiman na. So I got to be with this lady, Lydia Sam, and we became close, and off screen, we became very close. We were like almost family. Sergeant Dola was that, and then Jojo Joget was actually from a real life character. We have this guy who does store, and then he's one of the
Behind the scenes guy.
behind the scenes who set things
Set
up
guy,
and all
yeah.
that. But he's actually a mud rock. And I think he's a mud rock stuck in the time capsule. Because back in 70s, you will find people with all those big buckles and then, you know, a certain kind of hairstyle and then all those chains and whatever hanging. Can you imagine? This guy is a store guy. He does setting up for all the backdrops and all that. But he used to dress up, and he still dress up until today, like as if he came straight from the rock concert. And his name was Jojo. So I said, I'm going to do this tribute to you,
Character.
and then this character will be for you forever. Hence, Jojo Joget was born.
Wow.
That was it. Was yes, the buckle. It was based on true story.
Wow.
The mud rock who refused to grow. The mud rock who remains there despite all the other types of music genre and dressing all came. If you ever visit in Mediacorp, the new Mediacorp here, he's still around.
He's still around. He's still
Yeah,
working.
so sometimes he does freelance as well. Yeah, so he's still working. Jojo is still alive.
Still alive
Yeah,
and
one
kicking.
day I'm going to reveal him to the public.
Maybe I'll get him to do the podcast.
Of course.
Last few questions. Is there a boundary for you if you want to have a character to play? Would you do cross dressing?
No. Because it took away my personality, you know? Because okay, first it's like, why would I do cross-dressing? Okay, when we go from the humor point of view, I probably thought that would be a easiest but cheapest way to draw a laugh. That somehow cheapened my strategy.
Okay.
You
So
know.
the focus won't be on your acting, but more so of your...
Yeah, because if you want to be a joker, you got to be a thinking joker, you know, and you do clever jokes. Rather than cross-dress, I would wear clown outfit because you don't really have to think, you know, when you do clowning. That's the first part. Secondly is, naturally I'm a man. So if I do cross-dressing, I think my son and my daughter would have some difficulty in trying to take me seriously. You know, so it does help me to manage my life as well. There are moments where people ask
Approach
me to
you.
do that.
Okay.
So I said, these are my concern. I don't do this. It's not about, you know, people say there's a connection to religion because sometimes we can use this as excuse, but most importantly is the perimeter that you set. And it's always nice that you can't be the guy who does everything. The only thing that makes you exclusive is I do things, but there are things that you don't do.
Wow.
So, yeah, I do all kinds of hosting of events. I do everything except wedding events. So when sometimes people say, why don't you do hosting for weddings? I say, I don't know. I just like to go down there, enjoy the nice food, and then walk away. It's a moment where I can enjoy it instead of working. So that's the only category that I reserve that I don't do. So there are a lot of requests asking me to do this kind of wedding host and all that, which I don't know. It's just me. It's got nothing to do with that. That makes you feel a bit nice because now you have, you know, everything is the black and the white and the night and the day. We have this variation and there are certain things that you don't do. You just feel good about it.
I love your
Right.
perspective.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, early 2012.
You've been doing spy work on me, yeah?
No,
You've been reading up all
just read
my,
your Wikipedia. That's all.
all my, kena saman and all that.
That's everything here.
Okay, yeah.
2012, there was a remark you made that blew out of proportion, basically. And you put on your Facebook
Yep.
something about Surya not showing enough appreciation and then
Yep.
it blew out of proportion.
Mm.
Do you think that Singapore or like whoever's reading the post is a bit too sensitive? You can't just shoot the breeze and just speak your mind.
Okay.
Do you feel like our society is too conservative and too sensitive when
Not
it comes
open
to...
to all this?
Yeah, not open to just someone like you shooting the breeze.
Well, I think everybody is entitled to their opinion, but I would say that the opinion also must be substantiated with facts and evidence and observation. So when I came out statements like that, do people really think that that statement is a random statement that comes out of the blue out of anger? I don't think so. But if you read correctly, okay, number one, hey, I didn't make it viral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, way before before people get hooked with this viral thing, I did make it viral. Okay. And basically, sometimes there are many things you say, but certain things have been quoted,
Out of
certain things are not
context, yeah.
quoted. So it's not like the whole piece.
Correct.
That's why people today, I say the problem is because we eat chicken in a box. We don't eat proper chicken. Comes with two legs running around, and they have fur, they have feathers and all that. But today we only know that chicken thigh, drumstick. We don't even see the face of the chicken anymore. So that's chicken. I said, yeah, that's part of the chicken, but it's not the whole chicken. The point is, when I said that, it was actually a wake-up call. We got to move. So because the opportunity that I had was, I had the opportunity to observe various kinds of system and progress. So I had the opportunity in the English market. I went a little bit more to the Chinese market. I went to the Malaysian side. And I saw many, many things are moving ahead. I said, why are we not taking advantage of this progress? And the fact that I was also not just a DJ, before when I was in Mediacorp, I was actually the program director of the radio station. I was very sensitive about the market and the industry development. Now, in every tertiary education or in every education institution, can you just make the calculation? How many students actually studied multimedia or new media or anything that goes to do media, and they actually graduated every 6 months? You times that by 3 years, times that by 6 years. How many people actually graduated and then eventually they did something else that they didn't study? Because we need to not only provide the think tank people or we need to provide the brains, we also need to create the market. We'll be very honest. The population in Singapore for the Malay market is basically 13%. Today, by today's standard, it's about 700,000 people. Is that enough for us to expand? No. Then what we do is we have the only one station. But if that one particular station is not properly groomed, then that leads to brain drain. So there's a lot of friends going to Malaysia, going to Indonesia, and then they say, I cannot live in Singapore. There's no problem. I cannot even be famous. So people like Aaron Aziz, people like Adi Putra, they all left Singapore. So if everybody leave, then what's there? What's the point of staying in Singapore? What's the point? I have to become a farmer. I have to change job to be policeman. Right? So when I say this, I say, you got to wake up. You got to do something. We have to do something. If the whole establishment of the whole entire is very difficult to change, then what we do, we change ourselves. We recreate. So I believe, to summarize that, my message basically was, at that time, people like to pay attention to the viral thing and they all like the sensational stuff. I'm an actor, so I have to sensationalize it a little bit here. Once I got your attention, now this is the message. The message is, most people wait for them to be served the cake. And some people say, you don't wait to be served the cake. You go to the cake, right? My suggestion, you create the cake. You can eat the cake also.
You can eat the cake.
Yeah, and that's what I did. And I'm not just saying it. So I said, let me prove to you. So I went to Malaysia. I came back with a trophy. I said, I could go into Malaysia anytime I want. But I still stay in Singapore here. And I said, okay, let me prove to you. If you don't do something, people can just expand it into the other area, which I went to Channel 5. I entered into the English market, which I proved it. And I brought home the trophy too, the Asian Television Award.
Yeah.
So I'm not just saying out of emotion. I prove my point.
Yeah. With facts.
Walk the talk.
Yes.
So when we walk the talk, I say, okay, if I have proven all this and people still are not convinced, then that's not our problem. That's your problem.
It's a problem. That's
Yeah.
right.
This is about the only business that we have. I'm not born to be a real estate agent. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a shipping owner. This is the moment, and a lot of people out there, when they're interested in media, then tell yourself, this is your product and you have to be really good at it. You must protect it, whatever effort you need and whatever means necessary. So that's what I do.
Incredible.
Yeah, I'm still around.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Finally, what advice can you give to listeners from all your years and years of experience, be it entrepreneuring or acting or anything? What is one advice you want to impart to the listeners?
Well, if you like something, just don't try too hard. Be natural. Flow. The trees are still green.
I can attest to that from doing the podcast, like having a conversation. Just let it flow.
Let it flow. I can give advice on the media world. The first thing is you have to like people. It is people's job. Yeah, we're not doing this for money. The money will come. The reward will come. Everything else will come. Just be natural. Because you are also a person and your person is a part of a whole people. You must like people. You want to spread through the online and do some jokes. Don't do it just for the money and the glamour part of it, because you just like to connect with people. So you do videos and you show stuff like that and make sure that it's valuable for people, because you just love people. You don't humiliate them unnecessarily, because you love your people. Because your father is a person, your mother is a person, everybody else around you is a person. We all are people. If you don't like people, then I suggest go to the cave and do something with the bats there. So yeah, we have to like people, and then opportunity will open up. Be natural, like people. If you don't know what people are, learn, because you will love yourself also in the end.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing
Thank
this.
you.
You really brought a lot to the table, and it
Wow.
showed such a different side of you, like
Yeah.
a nerdy side also.
Nerdy side.
Nerdy side.
So yeah, maybe I'll just quote from the movie lah.
Which
May
movie?
the force be with you. Okay.
Thanks,
May the
boss.
force around you.